On today's show, a bonus Locked On Senators. The NHL Draft has come and gone, and safe to say it was a big day for the Sens.
Yes, absolutely. We're going to take a look at all the selections the Sens made, 1 in the second round, 3 in the fourth round, and their final pick in the fifth round.
And there's a trend. We'll get to that and more on today's Locked On Sens.
I'm Jake Sanderson.
I'm Tim Stützle, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators, the only daily podcast covering the Sens in the beautiful Venetian in Las Vegas. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller, and we just got back from Sphere where we got to see the Senators make 5 selections, and there was a very clear theme amongst the picks. For more, you can find us on Twitter at Sens Central. The show is available wherever you get podcasts, including on YouTube, where we have 80 draft profiles. So anyone that was picked that you're curious about, chances are there's a profile to match. Today, June 29th, and Pilsy, how you feeling after that experience?
Yeah, the Sphere yet again was great. Obviously, less intense atmosphere as the first round. But it's a great spot for the draft. Absolutely incredible. When the picks are going as fast as they're going today, it certainly changes the vibe of things. But the Ottawa Senators had a lot of time from their first selection at 39th overall until they selected in the fourth round a little later on. So we had a lot of time to think on that. And then the fourth round was very exciting. And then after the fifth round, we headed on home, did our research, and now we're giving you our day 2 draft reactions.
The Ottawa Senators had the 39th, 104th, 112th, 117th, as well as the 136th pick in this draft. And out of all the players chosen, the smallest is 6'2". 6'2". And that is centerman Lucas Ellinas from the Kitchener Rangers out of the OHL. We figured with the background that Steve Staios and Sean Tierney and Michael Andlauer had with the Ontario Hockey League, that they would have an inside, intimate knowledge of those kids in that league. And that's their only pick from the Canadian Hockey League. Are you surprised that they went so heavily into the high school, USHL, future college ranks?
I wouldn't say I'm so surprised that they went the US route, Ross, and college route, because that seems to be kind of the dominating spot for prospects these days. But I will agree, I am surprised they only selected one player from the OHL. But we're excited for that player with the Kitchener Rangers. As you know, we're good buddies with Sean Ferfaro. He works for the Kitchener Rangers, so we'll get him on to tell us all about Lucas Ellinas. And there's a lot to get into, Ross. I don't know how you want to start this off here.
Well, I mentioned the CHL. Obviously, we're talking day 2 today. We did our day 1 reaction. Carter Yakimchuk from the Calgary Hitmen of the WHL, but they started out with a head scratcher. There's no other way around it. We profiled Gabriel Eliasson, 6'7", 206 pounds. He was voted by Elite Prospects the second most physical player in this draft, or hardest hitter, I think is how they actually had it written.
Yep,
right behind Stian Solberg, who went in the first round last night. So for me, this pick was a head scratcher for a number of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Left shot. How many left shot defensemen do you need? The answer is infinity, apparently, for the Ottawa Senators. And 2, from what we heard, hockey IQ is the number one thing, whereas whoever you talk to might say that that is the biggest thing that Elias needs to work on. But I'm coming around on like the tools aspect, just from being the youngest player in the draft, 1 week eligible. He would have been next year's draft. But to say that he's a raw prospect would be an understatement.
Yeah, Ross, that's an exact quote from EP. They say calling his game raw would be an understatement. And
what did they say about his stick?
The first line in EP's profile, this is a quote: "In Gabriel Eliasson's hands, the hockey stick is more an instrument of destruction rather than a tool to make plays." And then David St. Louis, his report on one game is, "Eliasson is strictly violent. I think he's had more cross checks than puck touches in this game." And you mentioned, Ross, the hockey IQ is kind of the biggest question mark for Gabriel Eliasson. We spoke to Craig Button from TSN, and to say he was low on Eliasson's hockey IQ would also be an understatement. Ross, the concerning part for me here is we heard from Don Boyd that the position and everything isn't really a big issue, so they're going for best player available.
Okay.
For them to have Eliasson best player available at 39th overall here is where things get really, really, really difficult for me, Ross. I would have taken the next 8 players instead of him: Miettinen, Basha, Kleber, Hudson, Brunicky, Ritchie, Howe, or Plant. Any of those guys would have been much better selections, in my opinion. I know a lot of people on Twitter trying to tell me I don't know as much as the Sens scouting staff. Wait for this pick to develop, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I get it. We're doing a podcast about draft picks. I'm going to give my opinion. And Ross, sometimes my opinion on the show, I create quotes that are going to live on, and I'm going to have to stick with it. Our prospect profile on Gabriel Eliasson is downright hilarious because I ironically said the old Sens regime would pick him with the second round, and then I'm glad we're not going to have a pre-recorded video talking about how he's an Ottawa Senator. Yet here we are after the draft talking about how he was picked 39th overall by your Ottawa Senators.
I got a text from a source that said he's an effing ogre, was the first thing, which means he's big. He's almost caveman-esque the way he plays the game, where it's old school, it's physical. And not only that, there's a clip that we brought up in our profile where USA and Sweden got into it at the end of a game, and he just went wires crossed. So the physicality is on the 1 to 9 scale that the Elite Prospects team does. An 8 physicality is wildly high.
Yes.
So we always say in the second and third rounds, you need to identify 1 or 2 skills, and you need to hope that the rest of the game can come along. The only problem is that it's not just the rest of his game is average. It's that it needs a lot of work. Now, I mentioned he's one of the youngest players in the draft, if not the youngest, 1 week away. So with that said, the development line is going to be a long one for him. He was drafted out of HV 71 in Sweden, the junior team out there. However, he is committed to the University of Michigan.
Yep.
And that's a great place to go.
Absolutely.
They've got a great development staff there. Look, they pump out players left, right, and center. Their alumni list is one of the most impressive in the National Hockey League. So for them to be interested in him, that gives me hope that it's not just the Senators that are seeing something. Very highly regarded, prestigious school has him coming. And I think something I like about this is that he's not going to Michigan next year. He's going to have another full year of junior hockey.
Yep.
Then he's going to make the jump to Michigan. This is the definition of a project. For him to hit, if he hits.
Oh, he hits. That's all he does.
If he is going to be an NHLer, we're talking 5-6 years.
Probably, yeah. And look.
So, hey, so from that standpoint, left shot doesn't matter.
No.
Because the depth chart, he is going to be, and we said this about Yakimchuk too. I don't know what's going on with the Sens development staff because we've heard rumors there might be some changes there after development camp with who's going to be in charge. We know Sean Donovan, Jesse Winchester have been there for the better part of the decade. Whoever is in charge of running the Sens player development over the next 3 to 4 years, based on who they picked with the first selection and second one in this draft, they have an opportunity to put their stamp on the team. Because if somehow both of these two guys hit, not just literally, but as a prospect where they can be NHL regulars and not hurting you on a nightly basis, the potential is there. It's just, how high is the hit percentage?
Look, I don't want to get it confused. I'm not putting Yakimchuk in the same category as Eliasson.
No, but it's different, but the same in terms of who was around him at that point, right? It's all relative.
Yeah. We talk about tools, Ross. Yakimchuk has multiple tools.
Yes.
Eliasson has one tool, and it's a hammer. And it's not a household hammer. It's a big sledgehammer.
Wadoosh.
Yeah, and
the one video that Lassie Allen put out was hilarious, though.
Yeah,
we thought Tyler Clevin could hit. This guy is one track mind out there. So you know what? If nothing else, seeing him, and if you guys are in Ottawa going to head to development camp this week, he's going to catch your eye right away. He's 6'7", and he doesn't turn 18 until September.
Yep.
This guy could be 6'9".
Yeah, he very well could be, and then throw him on skates is going to be an effing ogre. And look, this is not a personal slight to Gabriel Eliasson.
No,
I'm sure he's a great kid. He's excited to be in Ottawa.
I mean, I want to have him on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, maybe we'll see if he decides to come on after watching our prospect profile. But for me, Ross, I've done the research. I've watched the videos. I've read all the prospect reports. Unfortunately, I'm not able to spin zone this one. In my opinion, this was not a pick they should have made, especially 39th overall. We'll see how it goes. He's got a lot of development to go. I think this is one where they just fell in love with the hitting. I'm not sure what else he can bring to his game, but he's got a long road ahead of him.
Decent skater. That is one thing. He's decent skater.
For his size.
For his size.
I'm not claiming him to be a bust. I'm not going to have these big statements. Everybody probably wants to jump on me for this. I can't believe that this is where they targeted a guy like this. And Ross, it makes me nervous if they would have kept 25th overall, what direction they would have gone here.
So a little boots on the ground insight too. I saw Gabriel Eliasson. He was in the green room, so I wasn't able to go say hi. However, he did have his name on the back of the jersey, which we didn't see a whole lot today. Today was a lot of empty names.
They were going to take him no matter what. Let's not dance around it. This was their guy, and they were going to take him.
Should I make the meme? What was it? The NFL draft where it's like this player, no matter what, is like DeMarcus Ware. Yeah. Maybe that sounds familiar, but it's like this guy, no matter what. It felt like that's the case. Good luck to the Sens development staff. If this guy hits, he's going to be an absolute monster, a unit. There's a chance he never plays in the league. Like Andreas Englund comes to mind right away as a second-round pick. The Ottawa Senators took a big guy, except for him, he had that leadership. I believe he was the captain of the U20 team at the World Juniors. Like he had a little bit more prestige at that point, and he's become an okay NHL defenseman.
Yep, totally.
At 29 years old, 10 years after he was drafted
as a second-round pick. Yeah, and you could probably look at that draft and look at the picks around him and be like,
So the Sens have a type.
Nice. Yeah, certainly the Sens have a type.
They have a type. And I don't know if you want final thoughts on Gabriel Eliasson, because I do want to let people know that as much as we're confused about this selection, they may have more than made up for it with the fourth round, where they hit 3 good, high probability swings.
Absolutely, especially 2 of the players who we'll get into. I'm really interested in. So, yeah, look, I'm disappointed. It's clear, but again, this is nothing personal. This is just looking at the scouting staff and scratching our heads, being like,
the conversations we had at the draft were interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, exactly. And just other talent available. I know when you're doing the draft, you got to let go of your attachments of guys you like and where you think guys should go and things like that. But I'm not going to backtrack much of what I said in that prospect profile, even though maybe it was a little harsh. That's how I see it.
Like I'm almost worried he's going to hurt someone at dev camp.
Yeah, which would be an issue. Yeah, I'm not a Gabriel Eliasson hater. I'm
hoping for the best.
I don't understand the approach this early in the draft. That's what I want the message to be here. He's an Ottawa Senator. I'm going to root for him. If he becomes a top 4 defenseman, is crushing guys, I'll buy his jersey. I'll be the biggest Eliasson fan there is.
You heard it.
If he becomes a top 4 NHL player for the Ottawa Senators, I'm all in.
How about, forget top 4. If he plays 100 games for the Ottawa Senators, after the 100th game, you're ordering his jersey.
No.
Why?
For a second-round pick, if he plays 100 games as a bottom pair guy, I don't know. Again, no, screw it. I will. That's the thing. If
he should wear number 99.
If he turns out to be a solid player, I'm so down. All I'm saying is I'm confused at how they valued him this high.
Well, we will see what the Sens president of hockey operations, general manager Steve Staios, has to say about the pick a little bit later on today. Again, we left the sphere a little early. Sens draft was done. We want to make sure to get this reaction to you right away. So it was Gabriel Eliasson, the pick at number 39. Bob McKenzie had him at 55, and nobody else had him higher than 80, 85.
He did not rank him.
did not rank him. They talked about him. We obviously read out of his profile, but they did not rank him in their 116 skater ranking. So that is Gabriel Eliasson, 39th overall. He's excited to come to Ottawa. And first thing he said, that Ian Mendez asked him what he knew about Ottawa, and he said, well, Brady Tkachuk had 16 hits in a game. That's unreal. Like,
Yeah,
that's awesome. So, you know what? We're rooting for Gabriel Eliasson. Certainly wouldn't have been our pick there, but honestly, you could have convinced me that if they flipped someone else who we're going to talk at 39, I'd still say it was a bit high. But look, all in all, we now know what this Senators team wants the identity to be. And they have had this over the course of the year. Don Boyd's always really liked big players. Sometimes it works, Brady Tkachuk. Other times it doesn't. So we will see what happens with Gabriel Eliasson. On the other side, we've got Lucas Ellinas, Javon Moore, Blake Montgomery, Eerik Wallenius. Those are your newest Senators. Who are they? We'll discuss next. You're listening to a bonus Locked On Senators live from Las Vegas. Your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. That's what brings home the winning trophy, and it's also what keeps your ride or die alive, and it's also what helps you calm down when you're looking at picks the Ottawa Senators just made. Passion, drive, and patience. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. They got superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. So whether you're into speed, power, style, or size, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or you get your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber,
not cash.
Not burning cash. With all the parts you need, but at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that W. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay's Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Check it out today, guys. eBay Motors.
All right, Pillsy. What a weekend it was at Sphere in Vegas. They should have the draft here every year.
Yep.
I've had an absolute blast. I don't think I've been outside in 2 days.
And we haven't need to, being at the Venetian.
No, they got the sky inside. If you saw our video at Sens Central on Twitter, it is a comedy factory in the city. I've never been here as an adult. This is like,
and we haven't even had a green light night yet.
No,
tonight's a green light night, so we'll experience Vegas.
Yeah, we're going out with Gabriel Eliasson, aren't we?
Sure.
All right. So then the fourth round happened, where the Ottawa Senators, we will now declare fourth round champions.
No one had a better fourth round than the Sens. I'm willing to say that right now.
Say what you want about the Senators, but not that you had a better fourth round than we did.
Yeah, exactly. And the fourth round, that's the round of the Stanley Cup Finals. You want to have a good fourth round. Maybe in the playoffs, not the draft. But
Leafs have never played in a fourth round.
It's true.
Let that sink in. So with the first pick, they actually drafted a Toronto kid who Arshawn Fafaro, our good buddy with the Kitchen Rangers, in an interview, he said, hey, how'd you fall in love with the game? In Etobicoke, in the heart of Leafs Nation. The practice facility is down the street. Well, he said, man, watching Erik Karlsson and the Ottawa Senators growing up, that was his team, and now he's a member of the Ottawa Senators. I hope that Lucas Ellinas is a citizen. What's up, dude? Welcome to the organization. This guy, it seems like, he is a huge Mitch Brown from Elite Prospects tweeted out when the pick was made. It is his number one breakout candidate for next year.
Yep.
And that's exciting.
In the OHL.
Correct.
Yeah. With the Kitchener Rangers last season. Well, first, he's center/left wing, shoots left, 6'2", 198 pounds, born March 12th, 2006. With the Kitchener Rangers last season, his rookie year. In 67 games, he had 16 goals, 17 assists for 33 points. He had 8 points in 10 playoff games. EP ranked him 118th overall. And he's got a good shot, good work ethic. I think that's one thing we're going to see, Ross, from these prospects is the Ottawa Senators are finding guys that have high motors and good work ethic and obviously size. Like Ellinas is the shortest player and he's 6'2". We talked about this. Like, that's nuts. He's going to be the point guard on the Ottawa Senators starting NBA team for this draft.
CBL, the Ottawa Blackjacks, better look out. We're coming.
Honestly, yeah. I think this is a decent pick at this range. From what I've read on EP, that's where most of my information came from on these picks today. They say he's a solid player and he just needs to improve on his skating a little bit. And if he can bump up his playmaking a little bit more, he's going to become a really nice two-way or dual threat guy. And look, the Sens, they've dipped their toe in the Kitchener Rangers team multiple times before.
The OHL's leader in plus minus, not Sam Dickinson. No, it was Sens prospect Matthew Andonovski from last year. So they went to that well with Thomas Shamara as well. Obviously, he moved on to the Bulldogs.
So Rango from the Rangers, who they acquired from Detroit.
So yeah, they're dipping back into that water. But to me, look, you're getting a guy with a high motor, and at the very least, I think he has projectable bottom six tools. And I think in the fourth round, that was a nice swing at 104th.
104th overall.
And then the Senators moved on to their next pick, unless you have anything else on him.
Nope.
I think we'll learn more about him when Fafaro comes on, and hopefully we can get Ellinas on the show as well. I expect all of these players to be at development camp this week, although we'll get that roster likely on Monday. It'll also be interesting to see if there are any undrafted free agents that end most fun weeks. We were live last year on location at Sens development camp. Always one of the cooler public open events of the Senator season, where you can really get a sense of who the hierarchy is in the prospect pool. So the Senators do make a much needed number of additions to the prospect pool, including at 112th overall. Interestingly enough, they went the U.S. high school route. The little Vegas voice there. Apologies. Javon Moore. And again, they go with size, listed at 6'5", 203 pounds. Our guy Dylan, Citizen. We had a great chat with Dylan, great time with Dylan and his family when we were in Minnesota. He said, hey, this guy went to my high school. He is a Minnesota high school champion, which is a huge deal in Minnesota.
State of hockey.
Huge deal. And now you look at what he's able to do. And to me, he's like a prototypical power forward. He's got the speed. Like, obviously, he's playing at a lower level right now. But next year, he as well, like Eliasson, although Eliasson has to wait a year, in the fall, Javon Moore is going to be playing at the University of Minnesota, another very prestigious program.
Such a Minnesota kid. Love that for him. Rossi buried the lead, though, on the scoop that Dylan gave us. What's the nickname for Javon Moore?
Diesel.
I love that. Ross, this might be
so we didn't get the nickname in for Lucas Eliasson then.
Oh yeah, the Wolf.
The Wolf. He hunts.
Ow.
He hunts. Ow.
I think this is my favorite pick of day two.
Me too.
Ross.
Maybe the next guy.
Yeah, the next guy I'm very interested in, but I've got Javon Moore. I'm so excited about. In 28 games, he had 26 goals, 27 assists for 53 points. He had 3 assists in 8 USHL games through 2 seasons with Sioux Falls Stampede. So yeah, at least he has a little bit of USHL experience there. EP has some shades of Voracek.
Okay.
That's an interesting one. I mean, Voracek was a big playmaker. So if
power playmaker.
Yeah, power playmaker. That's a better way to put it even. EP calls him a tall, skilled, and toolsy winger. He was ranked 60th.
60, and they got him 114.
Yeah.
112-14. So.
112th. And he was ranked 60th by EP. Daniel G., who we're going to get on the show, works with EP, says he's his favorite prospect and that Moore has enormous upside.
Okay. So a big swing on upside there.
But I don't even think, Ross, that it's a big swing on upside. Yes, but I think Moore has a pretty solid floor.
Big time.
When you're looking at a guy 6'5", over 200 pounds, that's able to put up points like he is. And this is why they probably have him shades of Voracek. His playmaking is his best asset and is already quite advanced, is a quote from EP. Now, they talk about his shot. They say he has a good shot, but not necessarily the best shot decision-making. Sometimes he's taking low-quality shots from outside. And that's, you know what? If that's a knock on a guy, I don't even mind that much.
Pucks on net when you got Brady and they're crashing and banging away.
Pucks on net is fine. Obviously, you want him to start learning how to get in better positions, and if a high quality shot isn't there, maybe try to work the play a little bit better to get a better quality scoring chance. But overall, the value that the Ottawa Senators get here on 112th overall with Javon Moore is exceptional, in my opinion. And Ross, this is an example where the Ottawa Senators, you're obsessed with size. Okay, we get it, but get some other skills along with it. And Javon Moore, I believe you got the size, but you get added tools as well. So I really like this pick for the Ottawa Senators, Ross.
So do I. And it's not just elite prospects that is higher on him than his draft position. You look at it, and Craig Button had him 89th on his list, and Daily Faceoff had him at 92 on their list. Dauber prospects all the way up at 75. So the scouting community, big fan of Javon Moore, who, as I mentioned, will be at the University of Minnesota next season. And just from a quick highlight reel that I watched on him, his agility is unbelievable. The way he's able to kind of bounce around and get around defenders and give and goes, and just the offensive awareness of Javon Moore. So we're big fans of this pick. Again, it's going to be a 2-3 year process for him. None of these guys outside of Yakimchuk are going to be able to turn pro, I think, in the next 2 years. I think that they're going to need probably 3. And that's a good place to be for a couple of years at the University of Minnesota. So that one got big praise from elite prospects. As we move just 5 picks later, Senators on the clock again. And just to wrap up as well, Javon Moore, that was the pick that Ottawa got in the Alex DeBrincat trade. So that trade is now complete. The Ottawa Senators ultimately 1 year later have traded Alex DeBrincat kind of for Linus Ullmark.
Yeah, kind of.
In a way.
That was the biggest piece, the 25th overall. So.
Exactly. And it was the biggest piece again going. I know there were other members of that trade, Casti and Corpusalo, and how does that all shake it out? But you look at it basically.
No, let's call it a 1-for-1.
Okay. So basically, DeBrincat for Ullmark, Javon Moore, and Donovan Sabrango.
Yep.
So
correct.
Definitely sounds a little better like that versus Dominic Kubalik.
Yeah.
So
Great.
Javon Moore, the pick there, that wraps up the trade with the Detroit Red Wings. And then Ottawa, with the pick from the Mathieu Joseph Nick Paul trade, they go up and select an overager, a draft +1 player out of the USHL, Lincoln, Nebraska, 6'4", Blake Montgomery.
Yep, Blake Montgomery. This is the player, Ross, that maybe I would say competes with Javon Moore for my favorite pick of the second day for sure. Blake Montgomery in 58 games with the Lincoln Stars had 22 goals, 21 assists, good for 43 points. He had 1 assist in 5 playoff games. He's committed to University of Wisconsin. I don't think he's going there next year, probably the year after. And this is his second time through the draft, like you mentioned, an overager. EP has him shades of Ivan Barbashev. So that's interesting. They call him a play-driving power winger with speed to burn, shooting skill, vision, and defensive ability. Lots of development, but he could hit big. That is the almost exact type of description I want for a 4th-round pick for the Sens. Speed, power winger, play driving, shooting skill, vision, defensive ability, but let it be known, lots of development, but he could hit big. Like I just listed off 5 different tools there for a guy. Now, maybe some people are saying, well, it's an overager, so he should be better. But look at a guy like Stephen Halliday, Ross. Some people kind of raise their eyebrows being like, oof.
I think they might be buddies too, actually, because he's from Maryland.
Yeah, okay. But people sometimes raise their eyebrows being like, you're picking an overager here. But I don't like 1 year overager doesn't really matter to me. And it just means they're that step closer and they've matured a little bit more. So I don't have an issue with that at all. EP calls him one of the most dynamic transition players in the draft. Great speed with good crossovers and pace. Now, Ross, where the development needs to happen, from my understanding, is he's got to be able to attack the middle. And right now, he mostly is a support role in the offensive zone. EP calls him an awkward skater that could work on stability. So there's a couple things he's got to work on for sure.
Shelly Kettle's going to be busy this summer.
Yeah, she might need to hire a couple of extra assistants. Yeah, because there's going to be a lot of work done on the Sens skating. But that's something that you can work on. And with the right teacher, Shelly Kettles, I've heard only good things. She's an intense lady from what we've seen from her videos. She's going to get these kids whipped into shape. A Western scout, Ross, called him a Dakota Joshua, but just not as mean.
Okay.
So that's where Dakota,
Hey, put him in a room with Eliasson.
yeah, get them chatting. Dakota Joshua is a player I would love the Sens to have, and he's that kind of power playmaker that is also mean. So if you get a guy, and if you can, put some energy and some piss and vinegar into Montgomery, he can turn into that player. Again, I like this pick a lot.
I like
great value in the 4th round at 112th over 17th rather 117th overall. These are the types of picks you want the Sens to make in the 4th round. So,
and ironically,
like
elite prospects in the past, they've been a lot lower on what the Sens do, and they just took their 60th and 61st player in the 4th round.
Yeah.
So I find that to be pretty interesting. They both have, again, longer development paths. Montgomery, I don't know if Montgomery's going to end up at Wisconsin. I'll just say that with absolutely no inside information.
Okay.
It just feels like if he's already 19 and he's not going this year, but next year, maybe now that the Senators are in his corner, maybe they can work together with him.
Noda.
Oh, don't fire me. I mean, he's in Nebraska right now. He's right around the corner.
Dakota Joshua, did he go to Nodak?
No, he didn't.
Oh,
I think
he
was
did.
an OHL guy.
Oh, okay.
If not mistaken.
But yeah, that's interesting because we'll see.
We will see with our guy, Blake Montgomery, who's Bermudan, by the way. I don't know how many Bermudans there are in the National Hockey League, but he just posted this from Bermuda Memes on Instagram. Aba, look like we're going to have to, like there's no T at the end. Looks like gonna start watching hockey. Congrats, Blake Montgomery, on being drafted to the Senators. So funny enough, I think Blake Montgomery is in Bermuda. Hopefully we'll see Blake Montgomery in Ottawa this week, but if not, we'll hopefully see him in years to come. The Ottawa Senators finishing off the Joseph trade. So Nick Paul for Matthew Joseph and Blake Montgomery, if you are into trade trees. All right, the 5th and final selection.
This is it.
Round 5, I should say, and it was their 5th selection today, 6th overall. Yakimchuk last night. Eerik Wallenius out of Finland. I want to say Sweden because there was Leo Salin Wallenius.
Yes.
Sweden went 2nd round today, and then this guy's Finnish, and guess what? He's 6'4".
And a left shot.
You can't make it up, man.
No,
and the Sens depth chart is so weighted one way. If it was a plane, they need to move a few over just to balance the weight.
Yeah, they'd have to put some of the wingers and centermen on the right side of the plane.
Yeah,
and that's where with Gabriel Eliasson, it's at this point, it's just funny that they have a type.
They have a type. Don't we all?
Yes. Yeah, fair. Wallenius, I don't have a lot on him, Ross.
No, I have the least on him too. It's hard to find. I'm excited to see him at Dev Camp.
Yeah, I'm excited to learn more.
Again, hopefully. Roster coming out soon.
With HPK U18 in 37 games, he had 3 goals, 11 assists, good for 14 points. He was an assistant captain with the U18 team, so you like to see that. Some leadership qualities. Had 8 points in 14 U20 games. So that's pretty solid. 8 points in 14 games in the U20s. And Ross, he did play 1 game in Liga with HPK, and he got 17 and a half minutes. Now he finished with no points and -2. So tough start, but to be able to get that experience, I'm sure will be a big positive for him. EP calls him extremely raw. A rangy, raw blue liner who wants to be involved in the play, but lacks the finesse and struggles with pressure, a late season riser. So,
yeah, so he's on the right track.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like the Senators, they get their size here, and they're going to have the development path for him. I think in the 5th round, perfectly fine type of player to go for.
Yeah, it was. And it was such a fun draft. And it's cool that they end off. By the way, Eerik is spelled with 2 E's. I've never seen that before. So something a little different with Wallenius. But again, we're not going to blow smoke and say we know a whole lot about him. 5th round pick. And we're just hoping that he takes another step. It looks like he's going to play. At least he's scheduled, according to Elite Prospects, to be in Liga to start next season, which would be cool. When you're 18 playing pro hockey and a late round pick, I think that's a good sign.
I think at the very least, Ross, he'll play a majority of the time in U20. I think he'll probably graduate up to the U20. And then just a couple more things. EP says he joins the rush while also killing plays with physicality. So again, you got multiple tools there. He can join the rush while also being physical. But some knocks is he turns the puck over a little bit too much, and he's got to work on his skating. So there you go.
There you go. There's the Ottawa Senators Day 2 draft class. Gabriel Eliasson picked at number 39. Then it was a long wait until 104th overall, where they take Lucas Ellinas, a left winger out of Kitchener.
Wait.
Then it was quick. Bang, bang, bang. 112th, Javon Moore, left winger out of the U.S. high school ranks in Minnesota. And then 5 picks later, another left winger, Blake Montgomery, out of the USHL. They wrap up with another left shot defenseman. So to wrap up this draft, the Senators take 2 Canadians in Carter Yakimchuk and Lucas Ellinas. They take 1 Swede in Gabriel Eliasson, 1 Finn in Eerik Wallenius, and 2 Americans in Javon Moore and Blake Montgomery. They get 3 wingers and 3 defensemen. No centerman. You interested in that?
Don't forget the Bermuda aspect as well.
1 Bermudan.
Sorry. Lucas Ellinas, he is listed as a center / left winger. So we'll have to get confirmation on.
Okay. According to NHL.com, left wing. The average height, Nick Spence did this for us, 6'4", 200 pounds. Big boys. Big boy hockey in Ottawa. I'm sure. Hey, I bet you Brady's loving it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'll say it for all the people that have said it on Twitter. You can't teach size.
No, you cannot. So, your overall thoughts on the Senators draft?
Ross, while some things change, new ownership, new general manager,
new assistant general manager, or vice president of hockey operations, our guy Pooley, Sean Tierney, Matt Nickel,
head scout,
Travis Green,
head scout leaving. While all of these things change, some things remain the same.
Like Trent Mann taking a North Dakota player with Pittsburgh in the 7th round, Max Swanson.
But the Ottawa Senators drafting strategy has not changed. Like this, you could have copy and pasted these players for the last 4 years for the Sens. Like we kind of were hoping we'd get a fresh vibe, especially with the analytics being brought in of different types of players that the Sens would target. Clearly, that has not changed for better or for worse, I guess.
I'm not a draft grades guy right away. Obviously, we've given our takes on each one of these guys. I think my main takeaway is I look forward to seeing them all at development camp, and I look forward to seeing their development next season in their draft plus 1 year, because they take the youngest player in the draft. They also take an overager. So they've got kind of their hands in a bunch of different pots here in terms of the development paths. But one thing remains the same. If you're under 6'2", the Senators probably. Do you think they had anyone on their list that was under 6 feet tall?
No,
like no one.
Like this, no one. This isn't tongue in cheek. This isn't Sens only pick big size guys. Literally, I would be shocked if there was a single player on their list under 6 feet tall.
So for better or worse, the Ottawa Senators have their type. They're going to stick to it. I appreciate the gumption, and we'll see if it pays off down the road. That is it for us from Las Vegas. We do have a ton of Sens news and notes that we will get to on Monday. Bruce Garriock reporting the Senators may not qualify Parker Kelly. We still don't know what's going to go on with Erik Brandstrom. The deadline is June 30th. Tomorrow evening, we will know the answers, and then free agency starts on Monday at noon. Lots to cover in the weeks ahead. We will have you every step of the way here on Locked On Senators. Thank you for being a part of our Vegas journey. The YouTube numbers specifically are just... We're so grateful that you guys trust us to get you this information. We study for it more than we studied in high school, more than we've studied in university and college, more than anything in our lives. We're studying the NHL draft, and we do find it very rewarding to be able to come here and share this experience. And we wouldn't be able to do it without you guys, all the citizens out there and fans of other teams who pop by when their team picks and goes and checks out the draft profile. So I just want to share a token of gratitude to everyone who calls Locked On Senators a part of their day. It means a lot to us here. Pillsy, any final thoughts on today's show?
No, I think you worded that perfectly.
Thanks.
We love the draft. There's no hiding it. We spend so much time talking about the draft. Even
where do you want it to be next year? I'm coming back.
Here, the sphere. Again.
I'll be here no matter what.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. We'll cover the draft from Vegas, even
the
when
draft in San Jose.
Yeah.
No, but there will still be a fan event.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It won't be like this anymore.
No, like we won't be walking by Steve Nash in actually maybe because friends and family of players will probably still be here.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, super cool.
Yeah, we love the draft. We love covering it. If you follow the draft and do your research, the draft is the best reality TV in sports. Like, it's just so fascinating.
When Beckett Seneca went 3rd overall,
it was nuts. Even the look on his face was crazy. When you're looking at guys, Ross, as we're following along, we're like, who's left on our list? Wow, this guy's still available. Wow, great value here. Or like, I wonder why they went this direction. Or we haven't heard of this guy. Let's research him. Like, it's just so exciting. And first and foremost, this is about the kids that their lives are changing today, and we wish the best for obviously all the Sens prospects, but for everyone that got drafted. Seeing the families get excited is probably my favorite thing. It's so awesome.
We're staying at the hotel that's attached to Sphere as well, so a lot of the kids are staying here, and just seeing the hugs, the embraces, in line for Starbucks, just waiting to get a coffee, and guys are like, you can almost see the emotion in the parents and everyone. Because it does take a village to be able to get these people to this unbelievable point. And I just want to reiterate how cool it is seeing all the different jerseys of fans and all the different teams who have players represented here from their teams. USHL, I saw Brad Barry, to thanked him for the Nodak Sens. And his son got drafted in the 7th round too, which is really cool. So yeah, it just is an amazing hockey experience. And I hope that if it is something you're interested in, that you do make the jump and come to a draft, because even though it'll be decentralized, you won't have the tables as much. I do think it is a bucket list event. So it was an amazing experience. Obviously, if we were picking at each spot, it would have looked a bit different. Maybe that's an exercise we could do sometime in the middle of the summer. Not soon.
Second round is going to be interesting.
We got a lot to get to over the next couple of weeks, because if Parker Kelly's not back, there's no
one left on the 4th line,
and there's like no wingers in the organization outside of that can be guaranteed spots. I'm probably missing a few guys, but Joseph's been named on the trade block, so who knows? But Steve Staios, the vision has taken form in terms of the draft. We got our goalie. We're still feeling good about that. We took a photo with the Vezina trophy. Our guy, Ellinas Allmark, being able to take that home, not this year, but last. So really looking forward to what's ahead for the Ottawa Senators. Again, thank you for being a part of it. Thank you for listening, watching, engaging with the show. This has been a bonus edition. So for Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. You've been watching Locked On Senators, your team every day.